Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:06 here on O'Connor and Company. If you missed our first 3 hours, you're lost. But the good news is you can still subscribe to our podcast, and you'll have those hours delivered right to your inbox. So why don't you do that wherever you like your podcast? I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, we just had a beautiful preview of how CNN's going to conduct themselves in the debate this Thursday.
Really? They're so fair. What are you talking about, Larry?
Well, a Trump spokesperson was on the air this morning doing her job, promoting her president, making an argument, and CNN cut off her microphone, refused to let her make her point because they didn't like what she was saying. This is the network that's moderating the debate this Thursday. You'd think they'd be on their best behavior leading up to the debate, but no. We're going to share that audio with everybody so you can hear exactly what this debate is going to look like. That's coming up momentarily. But right now, we are joined by one of our favorite reporters. She's down in Texas covering so much going on in that state for the New York Post. She's Jennie Taer. And boy, your plate is so full, Jennie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, not only do you do great coverage of the border and what's going on there and the breaches of the border and people charging across and breaking the law, but you also sadly cover the results of that illegal immigration and the criminals who have come here, including the story of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungare, and I'm sorry if I pronounced her name wrong. Tell me the latest in terms of the two illegal immigrants from Venezuela who were apprehended in her despicable murder.
Yeah, so two individuals have been charged with capital murder. They're accused of luring and strangling to death 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungare in Houston, and they threw her body allegedly into a creek here, which a local resident found. These two individuals came across our southern border very recently, one last month and one in March. They were both released into the United States by federal authorities, so they were, quote-unquote vetted. And they were also released with GPS monitoring and found to have no, criminal history when they were released. One of the individuals was actually taken off GPS monitoring after a couple months of being in the United States because they said he complied with check-ins and didn't have any criminal history. And then you had another individual involved in this, the one who came across last month, who cut his ankle monitor just after the killing.
Yeah.
So there's every day, it seems that we find another story of an illegal alien killing an innocent child, killing Rachel Maureen, the mother of 5 from Maryland. It is happening constantly. We know the vetting is not working. Is it just a lost cause at this point? Like, is there anything that can be done to stop this endless entry of these illegal criminals coming into the southern border?
Right. I think this is something that my sources in Border Patrol, have been saying for years now, is that, we can't really fully vet people. We have limited information and limited time with people. They have to get people in and out of custody within 72 hours, whether that means they're kicking them back to Mexico, they're sending them to ICE for detention, or they're releasing them into the United States. Within that 72 hours, you have to run their names through U.S. databases. So if there's a record that they came across, before, then that's helpful. If they've committed a crime within the U.S., then it's easier to get that information. But let's say they're from Mauritania and they have crimes there, or they have a terrorist past, it's going to be more difficult to get information on. We also, have heard other stories in addition to this one and Rachel Marin and the rape of a 13-year-old girl in New York in a Bronx park. recently. I mean, we also have people like the 8 individuals from Tajikistan who were just nabbed in Philadelphia, New York, and Los Angeles, who, are alleged to be tied to ISIS. That was an ICE operation on behalf of the FBI. Those individuals came across the southern border. And, ICE sources that I talked to are saying that they're being told that they're going to have more such arrests to be made.
Unbelievable. And yeah, the only way to stop this is to literally just shut it down, completely shut down that border and end these reckless policies of catch and release and so-called vetting, which isn't really vetting. And Jenny, while I've got you, you've got, like I said, your plate full in Texas because you're also tracking this story about the Texas Children's Hospital that has been engaged in these gender transition so-called procedures. This has been outlawed by the state of Texas, and yet this whistleblower who actually alerted authorities that this was going on, she's now being harassed and agitated by the FBI. What is this all about?
Right, exactly. So, you have a second whistleblower now that's come forward. In this case, it's a nurse, Vanessa Savage. And she and I sat down the other day, and she told me everything that's happened to her, since she's come forward. And what she's alleged here is that Texas children's doctors are finding ways to skirt the Medicaid policies, which Texas, has outlawed, like you said, the coverage using taxpayer funds for, children's cross-sex hormones and for the puberty blockers. But unfortunately, what she says she discovered is that the doctors at Texas Children are allegedly misdiagnosing patients in order to get the coverage. So instead of saying they have gender dysphoria and that's the reason they need such a prescription for hormones, they're saying allegedly that, a child, a healthy boy is deficient in estrogen and that a healthy girl is deficient in testosterone in order to get Medicaid coverage.
Wow.
What ages is this happening when they're saying boy, girl? Is it the 8-year-old, the 9-year-old? What's the age range here?
It sounds like it's a big range, and she didn't want to talk about the specific patient. But, this is a clinic in the nation's largest hospital that's treating these children and is allegedly trying to go around the law here to do this. And
it sounds to me like she's pointing out that laws are being broken. Why is the FBI investigating her? What are they alleging she did wrong?
Right. So it's interesting because about a year ago, she had a visit from the FBI at her door. That was after she came forward anonymously to Chris Rufo. And at the time, there was a whistleblower that came forward, Eitan Haim, who's a doctor at Texas Children's.
Yeah.
And they said to her allegedly that if you don't comply with helping us track him down, then you're not going to be safe at work. And so they tried to apparently scare her into talking. But from that point on, she said she wouldn't be silent and she wouldn't be scared from speaking out because she finds this to be not only illegal, but she also sees this as an issue that's immoral.
Yeah, well, she's right. Jennie Taer, we got to leave it there. But like I said, your plate is full. You're covering people from terrorist countries crossing the border, about a suspected murderer of Chinese descent who fled the country in L.A. and then tried to cross again in Texas, and of course the horrific murder of this young 12-year-old girl at the hands of Venezuelan criminals. And now this Texas Children's Hospital story. You are killing it, Jenny, and thank you for joining us to give us updates on all of those New York Post stories.